you guys, it's you and welcome back to another True Crime Tuesday. I know it's been a really long time since I uploaded True Crime, but I am back and I am back with like some crazy cases. So I'm very excited for you to hear all about them. But today we are going to be talking about the case of Emma Walker. Also, I am breaking out, so please ignore that and maybe focus on the true crime. Today we're going to be talking about the case of Emma Walker. Now the reason that I wanted to cover this case is because it is honestly, firstly, it's very recent. Secondly, it is something that could happen to me. It could happen to any of my friends. It could happen to you if you're around my age. Honestly, not only around my age, it's just something that I can see happening right now as well. Like most of the cases that I've covered have been like really long ago, but this is like really recent and I see this happening. I can actually believe this sort of stuff happening right now. So I felt like I really should talk about this case. This case just makes you want to be aware of the type of relationship you are in, be it like friends or like, you know, in a romantic way or whatever. I don't know, it's a little messed up, and maybe we should discuss a little more about it once you guys know what the case is all about and know all the facts. So I think we should just get into it. Emma was a 16-year-old girl who lived in Tennessee with her family. Everybody who knew her described her as someone who was a very happy and a lively person, someone who really cared about other people. I know those who are close to her and those surrounding her. One of her passions was cheerleading. She absolutely loved cheerleading. She got into the cheer squad and she just loved being part of the squad. She loved visiting or, you know, being part of the football games, watching the football games with all her friends and all her former cheerleaders. She was just a really, you know, fun, lively, happy girl. After Emma ended up joining the cheerleading team, she caught the eye of Riley Girl, who was one of her seniors who was part of the football team. Riley was not your typical jock that you see in all those movies. He was a little nerdy, he loved playing video games, and he was just like a fun guy. When Emma's family first met Riley, their first impression of him was really good. He seemed like a very nice guy. He seemed very polite. They even allowed them to have supervised visits at their house. Most of the times, Riley and Emma would always meet up after the football games and go and grab something to eat. Even Emma's friends realized and saw the fact that she was really happy with this guy, and even they liked him. And after a while, you know, after they started dating, Emma's Instagram was filled with just pictures of them being really, really happy together. So when it came to Emma's friends and Riley, initially Emma's friends just thought that Riley was a shy person, and so he didn't end up talking too much to Emma's friends. But later on they started getting really concerned because it really became obvious after a point that he was purposely not letting Emma hang out with them. After a while, he became so possessive that he ended up controlling what Emma used to do and even told her not to do certain things. For the next 2 years, Emma and Riley had that sort of a relationship which was constantly on and off. Like they would date and they would break up, they would date again. You know, we always know somebody who has this sort of relationship. You know what I'm talking about. In the course of these 2 years, Riley just was so possessive. He would comment on what Emma would wear. He would even go to the extent of telling her what to wear and what not to wear. And he would show up at Emma's workplace and just be there for hours and hours waiting for her outside. Emma's friends at one point were like, listen, like, we've had enough, we don't like the way he's treating you, and they tried to have an intervention with her, but obviously she brushed it off. She obviously did not listen to her friends because they obviously saw what was going on, but she's not going to listen to them till it comes from within, because that's just how it happens when you're in a relationship. You don't tend to listen to the people who are close to you, even though they're doing it because they obviously care about you, but that's just what happens. Like, you can't make a decision until you know yourself from within that, okay, something is fucked up, so I need to get the fuck out of this, but whatever. So there was this one time when things got so messed up that Riley started sending these really messed up messages on Snapchat to Emma where he was like, I hate you, I hate everything about you, you're the biggest bitch I've ever known. And there was one message which really ticked off Emma's parents, which was when he said that you're dead to me and I'll check the obituary, which was obviously like they were really concerned about Emma's safety at this point. So when they ended up confronting Riley about it, he was just like, oh, I was really angry at that time, which is why I sent it. Like, that was his explanation. So, obviously, post this, Emma's parents really got concerned about her and concerned for their daughter's safety. So, obviously, at this point, Emma's parents decided to ban Emma from seeing Riley, and they also took away Emma's phone so she couldn't contact him. But this still didn't stop them from communicating, because Riley ended up buying an iPod Touch for Emma and they would communicate through that. And obviously, like, the nasty messages still continued happening. Like, Riley was the same, he did not change. He would send all these nasty messages and then, quickly like follow that up with an apology, and this would just go on and on. Like, he would like send all these nasty messages, then apologize the next second, and then do it all over again. Emma's parents, begged her, like, they were like, you need to stop talking to this guy, but she was just like, she still continued, obviously, because she was a 16-year-old. Obviously, when you're a teenager, when your parents tell you not to do something, you're gonna want to do it even more, especially, I guess, when it comes, when it's related to a boy. Eventually, Riley ended up graduating and became an 18-year-old freshman at a college nearby. And Emma was in her junior year in high school, and their relationship was still going strong. They were still together despite the fact that Emma's parents were really trying to keep them apart. Around the time of Halloween, Emma's parents decided to ground her. They banned her from going anywhere else except for school and for cheerleading practice, and then she had to come back home. They were monitoring all her movements, and that sort of started to help her. Her dad said that she had actually started coming out of her room again. She was socializing with the family. She was having dinner with the family. She was just becoming her old self, and everybody was really happy to see that. One of her friends also said that Emma had finally texted her and said that she was really done with Riley and that she had come to the realization that she deserved so much better, and everybody was just so happy with this decision. Riley did not take this breakup well. He tried to commit suicide once. He swallowed a bunch of Vicodin pills along with some alcohol. His friends started noticing a lot of mood swings in his behavior. He was just always moping around, sulking, and he was just sad and wanted to harm himself and do things to himself. So he just did not take this breakup well at all. Fast forward to November 18th, 2016, Emma's parents actually decided to send her to a party, and she went to this party with her friend Zach Green, and they reached the party, they were having fun, and around 11:30 p.m., Emma took Zach outside in a corner and said that she had been receiving really weird text messages from a phone number that she did not recognize, and they said that you have to come outside alone or someone that you love is gonna get hurt. Then she started getting a bunch of other messages like this as well, so she got scared, obviously, and she texted back and threatened to call the police, and that's when the text became even scarier. One of the texts after this said that if you want to hear him cry and hear his screams, then why don't you give him a call? And after a while, she told Zach again that they said that they've dropped Riley outside. So Emma and Zach ended up going outside after receiving these texts, and they saw a boy who was just lying outside, and they realized it was Riley. And then he got up in a really confused manner, and he was holding his head as if someone had just hit him, and he was just confused, and he was like, where am I? And then he saw Emma and he was like, what are you doing here? And then he went on to say that I'm so confused, I don't know where I am, someone had kidnapped me and all that jazz. He was just being really weird and really confused, and Emma just ended up saying that like, we broke up, please just leave me alone. Obviously, after hearing Emma saying that, he was really like sad, so he just ended up walking down the street alone. He called one of his friends, Noah, and he told him on the phone that, listen, like, I've been kidnapped, they took me out of my car, they put me in a van, and then I didn't know where I was. And Noah just didn't believe any of it, but then he was like, okay, if this has happened, then why don't you call 911? And he was like, no, I don't want to involve the police, I don't want to call 911. But Noah did not believe anything that he was saying, and none of the other people who knew about this, like none of Emma's friends or Riley's friends, ended up contacting the police about this supposed kidnapping. So the following morning, Emma went home, and as soon as she reached her house, she texted one of her friends saying that there's this guy who was dressed in all black who she saw pass the street, and now he's at her doorstep and he's constantly ringing the bell again and again. And she was so scared, like she really thought she was gonna die. And she ended up texting Riley as well, saying that I hate you, but I really need you right now. So he immediately responded. He was like, yeah, don't worry, I'm gonna come there. And Emma's mom was actually supposed to meet her that morning, and when she didn't show up, she went home, and the first thing she sees is Riley and Emma sitting together in the front yard. And obviously she was furious because she thought to herself that this guy knows he's not supposed to be here, he's banned from meeting her, so why the hell is he here? She got out of the car and she asked him to leave politely, and he was like, no, I just came here, I'm here to help, I just came here to make sure Emma's okay. But Emma's mom said, please just leave, and he did end up leaving. So the party that I mentioned took place on Friday night, and by Sunday night everything was normal in Emma's family. She had somehow gotten over the incident that had happened. She was working on a homework assignment till a little after midnight, and then she fell asleep. Next morning, a little after 6 o'clock, Emma's mom went to wake her up for school, but Emma did not end up getting up. Emma's mom tried calling out her name. She bumped her legs. She tried to shake her. She didn't hear anything. Then she ended up looking at her face and she realized, and then she went to check the pulse and she couldn't feel anything. So she ended up calling 911. While she was talking to the 911 operator, she was just saying that I was just trying to wake my daughter up for school and she's just 16. They asked her if she was unresponsive, and Emma's mom said yes. Initially, when the police received a call, they thought it was a suicide. But obviously, when they reached the house, they were taking pictures. They took pictures of the outside. They went into Emma's bedroom. They took pictures of the bedroom. And that is when they noticed a bullet hole in her bedroom. And that is when they realized that it obviously was not a suicide. So the police were inspecting stuff from outside the house. And that's when they found 2 shell casings, which means that there were 2 shots which were fired. When they went inside, they ended up finding another bullet hole, which was approximately at the same height as the first one, which obviously means that they were both fired by the same person. So basically what had happened to Emma was that someone had shot her in the back of her head. There were 2 shots that were fired, which we know by now. One was fired right behind her ear, and the other one was fired on her pillowcase. So that day following Emma's death, the police obviously started talking to Emma's friends and family, and there was one name that kept on coming again and again in all these interviews, which was obviously Riley, because everybody knew the way Riley had been treating Emma and the way their relationship was. So I wasn't even surprised when I read the fact that his name was coming again and again in all the interviews. So Riley ended up posting a lot on social media. He was tweeting things, he was uploading things, and he was just mourning Emma's death on social media. And he said things like, I will love you forever and ever, and rest easy, sweetheart, and just, stuff like that. So Riley's friends just started being a little concerned about his well-being. So after Emma's death, Alex, one of Riley's friends, went and told the detectives that Riley had told them a tiny little secret after he had apparently been kidnapped, that he had gone and stole his grandfather's son because he was just so scared of what those people who had kidnapped him would do. And he thought that the same people who were out to get him had been out to get Emma as well. And he also spoke to one of his other friends, Noah, and asked him how he can get fingerprints off a particular gun. But that time he had said it was just for his roommate and obviously not for him. Obviously, after hearing all this, the detectives ended up getting Riley in for questioning. And one thing which was really weird throughout this 2-hour questioning that they had with him was that every single time they would talk about Emma, Riley would refer to her as the girl and never as Emma. He would be like, oh yeah, the girl, and the girl this, and the girl that, which was super, super weird. So initially the police thought that Riley was just a grieving boyfriend, but then they realized that there was like sort of a dark side about him. So throughout the conversation that they were having with Riley, they realized that he was sort of emotionless and didn't have any passion, or just didn't show any emotion when he was talking about Emma at all throughout the entire conversation. So that was really weird for the police. Riley did end up telling the police that he was actually trying to get in touch with Emma and meet up with her, but she didn't want to. But then later Emma told him that if he would help her with one of her papers, then she would meet up with him. He ended up calling Emma that Sunday night through one of his friend's phones, but that call did not end well. Like, she just said a bunch of mean things to him according to him, and then she blocked that friend's number. So they did not meet that night. After this, he just went to his grandfather's house for a brief amount of time, and then he drove back to college, and then he was just sitting in this car and he was just crying and crying because he was just trying to deal with the breakup and Emma and how he was going to live without her and all of that jazz. But throughout this conversation that he was having with the police, he was just really emotionless, which was very weird. Prior to questioning Riley's grandfather had actually reported a gun missing that he used to always keep in his car. So obviously now they knew that this gun was with Riley. But when they confronted Riley about this particular gun, he said that he had not shown any of his friends this gun, and he had not asked anybody about how to remove those fingerprints from the gun. Then the police asked for Riley's phone, which is when he asked the police if he was a suspect, to which the police replied, "Should you be a suspect?" But Riley just ended up denying the fact that he had anything to do with Emma's murder. The minute Riley left the police station, he ended up texting his friends saying that, "Why did y'all talk to the police? Why did y'all tell them about the gun? Y'all can't talk to the police anymore." And he went on to say that he needs to get rid of the gun. He needs to get rid of it because he doesn't want to be tracked down for something he didn't do, and then he doesn't want to go to jail for something he didn't do, so he has to absolutely get rid of the gun. And that is when his friends knew that he had done this murder, he had committed this murder for sure, so they had to do something about it, and they had to stop him from destroying the murder weapon. Riley's friends ended up contacting the police and asking them if there was any way that they could help in getting this murder weapon back, and the police obviously let them know that these were the concerns and dangers that could happen, or that could, these were the things that could go wrong. So they let them know about everything that could potentially go wrong, and they still were like, we want to help, we want to do what's right. And so they ended up hatching a plan. On Tuesday night, one day after Emma's murder, the police ended up wiring up the two teens. They gave them a transmitter through which the police could hear, and they also gave them a hidden camera. They invited Riley over to Noah's house, who was one of the two friends who were involved in the sting operation. They placed the camera towards the couch where Riley was sitting. Riley kept on denying the murder and said that he had nothing to do with it, and he also started coaching his two friends on what to say to the police next. He said that you have to go to them and say that, your mind was altered, you were on drugs, you were drunk, you had consumed alcohol, which is why your statement shouldn't count. Riley suggested that they go to Bluffs, which was a wooded area near the Tennessee River, where a lot of the teens go there to get high and get drunk. But he said that he wanted to go and get rid of the murder weapon, or according to him, the gun which wasn't the murder weapon, and throw it into the river. So the three of them got into Alex's car, and before reaching Bluffs, they ended up stopping at Riley's stepfather's house, where he claimed that he had kept the gun. So he went inside. He said he wanted to go alone. He came out with a trash bag in his hand, and he claimed that the gun was inside that bag. His friends tried to convince him to show them the gun, but he refused, and then they just ended up driving. Riley's friends tried to keep things as casual as possible. They were singing along, telling jokes, and they also stopped to get their favorite fast food. But what Riley did not know was that right behind Alex's car, there were police who were in undercover vehicles, and they were basically tailing the boys. There was also a group text that Riley's friends had with the police where they were constantly communicating on. So after a while, the three of them stopped, and Riley ended up putting on these white gloves, and he was just waiting and waiting, I guess, for the right time. And then he ended up removing, stuff out of the trash bag. They hadn't really seen the gun yet, but they saw a pair of black clothes, which he removed from the bag. Then finally, he ended up removing the gun, and one of Riley's friends gave the police the code word, and in a span of 90 seconds, the police came and removed Riley out of the vehicle. Obviously, when Gaul was removed from the vehicle, he was taken into custody, and he was just freaking out. He was swearing so much, and he was like, "No, I can't go to jail, I can't go to jail." So eventually, Gaul was charged with first-degree murder and 6 other felony charges, including theft of a firearm and aggravated stalking. In the trash bag that Riley had, they found gloves, they found the murder weapon, which was the gun. Police also found a pair of black clothes in the trash can, and the police thought that this pair of clothes was used at the night of the murder, and also that morning when Emma was stalked by someone who was wearing completely black. So they thought that Riley was in fact the person who was stalking Emma that day in the morning. After a week of testimony and more than 30 witnesses, a jury found Gaul guilty of first-degree murder, as well as stalking, theft, reckless endangerment, and being in possession of a firearm during a dangerous felony, and he was sentenced to life in prison. So Riley's attorney told the court that he did not really mean to kill Emma. He definitely did fire the gun, but he just did it because he wanted to scare her, and he wanted to get her attention. Are you kidding me? I don't know, this was just such a stupid argument. You're gonna get someone's attention by shooting a gun into their house? Like, what? The attorney also denied that he was the person who was stalking Emma that day in the morning, the person who was dressed in all black. Both of Riley's friends who were involved in the sting operation with the police said that the sentence that was given to Riley was a fair one, and they also said that he probably had this sort of attitude which was like, if I can't have Emma, then no one else can. When Riley's trial was taking place, he did not speak during the trial, but he did apologize to Emma's parents, saying that I'm so sorry that, I killed your daughter. But he also stuck by his defense and said that I did not mean to kill her and it was just accidental. So this is basically the case. I have a bunch of thoughts about this case, but before that, I want to apologize for the light because it's currently past 6, so the light has just obviously, gone. So I'm sorry about that. But guys, oh my god, this case. Firstly, I am so freaking happy that Riley's friends actually helped the police and did not try and help him cover this up. Like, we need more people like this. Like, honestly, like, I don't know, I'm really happy that his friends did the right thing and did not try and cover this murder up to save his friend. I'm just very grateful for them that these two people existed, because without them, honestly, I don't think Riley could have been caught. I just feel like this particular case really makes you want to, think about the kind of relationships that you have or that we see right now these days. Like, this could easily happen to anybody we know. Like, the person goes to such an extent where he wants to kill you because he doesn't want anybody else to have you, or he doesn't want to break up. Like, it's just insane to see the heights that people can go to when things don't go their way. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this case in the comments below. If you've ever seen anybody who has signs like this in their relationship, then just tell them to be careful. I'm not saying people are gonna go murdering people, but it's just something that you need to think about. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel because it really helps me. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.